Here's problem number 11. It asks for a radius of convergence, so we're going to attack this using the ratio test. So let's take a look at the limit as n approaches infinity of the n plus 1 term, which is, sorry, I forgot the absolute value, n plus 1 of n plus 1 to the n plus 1 over 2 to the n plus 1 over n plus 1 factorial. And then we'll divide that or multiply by the reciprocal of the nth term. And when we do that, we get the limit as n approaches infinity. The x and the x to the n plus 1 and the x to the nth turns into an x on top. The 2 and the 2n plus 1 ends up with a 2 on the bottom. The n factorial and the n plus 1 factorial ends up with a n plus 1 ends up with a n plus 1 down in the bottom. And now we've got this thing, n plus 1 to the n plus 1 power over n to the n. And that part is going to be a doozy. Now, if I take just a little look at this, n plus 1 to the n plus 1 power over n to the nth. Now, my gut says that this is going to, the n plus 1 and the n is just a little bit different. That's not a big deal. But the n plus 1 for that exponent over the n is a big deal. It gives me an extra power of n. I think this thing goes to infinity. And if that goes to infinity, except we have an n plus 1 in the bottom, which is going to go... Oh, here's our solution right there. Let me erase this. I have an n plus 1 here. I have an n plus 1 here, and I have an n plus 1 to the n plus 1 power there, which means that if I rewrite this limit as n goes to infinity, I'm going to get absolute x over n, and I'm going to lose one of these exponents, which means I'm going to end up with n plus 1 to the n power over n to the n power. And that's equivalent. Let's do a little bit of work on that. The limit as n approaches infinity of what I'm going to rewrite as n plus 1 over n to the nth power, which is equivalent to the limit as n approaches infinity of 1 plus 1 over n to the nth power. And that, my friends, is exactly E. So what do we end up with when everything's said and done? We end up with the absolute value of x over 2 times E. And that's the thing that's got to be less than 1. Or we're going to be from negative 1 to 1, or we're going to be negative 2 over E and positive 2 over E. So the radius of convergence ends up being C.